The actual starting place of the expedition in Africa is the little village of Akeza, which swelters in equatorial heat on the mud flats of the Niger River, and we are already over 10,000 miles away from home. Adventurous missionaries, ivory traders, and elephant hunters have used this town as a jumping-off place many times before us, and signs of civilization are apparent. Life is not a game of bridge and an afternoon of tea for the ladies of Africa. They are too busy pounding rice for the next meal. Yet there are light spots in this dark land. Here is a beauty parlor. She doesn't put in permanent waves. She's paid for trying to take them out. Anyway, she's trying to take out something. And here is the original tailor of 2 suits for the price of 1 frame. While he weaves a pair of trousers on his ancient foot-power loom, his customer in the background waits in his other suit. This little group of elephant tusks is worth over $10,000, and each pair represents the death of a 4-ton animal. Here we charter an old-time wood-burning stern-wheeler, which will carry the expedition approximately 500 miles up the Niger River. From that point, we will travel by truck, and the foot safari will carry the supplies. Hundreds of gallons of gasoline and oil for the truck must be transported and deposited at convenient points along our proposed route, in this manner or on the backs of our native quarters. We engage most of the town's population at 25 cents a day to chop wood for the boat and gather drift logs from along the riverbanks in their primitive canoes, which are hollowed out of a single tree. The foot safari of 200 natives are chosen from various tribes, and the immense amount of necessary supplies are divided into small loads, which they can carry on their backs far in advance of the truck and sound equipment. The fact that each tribe speaks a different language lessens the possibility of them all striking or quitting the expedition at one time. How would you like to carry 60 pounds on your head 20 miles a day in torturous heat? Finally, the entire expedition is loaded onto the steamship which will carry us up the Niger and into the heart of the Dark Continent. Then we will begin our great trek across equatorial Africa, where man is the prey of animals and animals the prey of man. Africa the unknown. The crossing of the Shari River presented a problem until we found a trader with a small portable motor attached to a rowboat. Our own men fashioned a flimsy raft of 3 dugout canoes, which didn't look very safe, but was better than nothing at all. So we put the truck on and took the chance of walking back if anything happened in midstream.
Goodbye, everybody.
However, many trips landed everything safely, and on the other side we met some lonesome Frenchmen who treated us to wine and a very fine dinner. They were surprised to find that we had come all the way from the west coast by motor. At last we arrive on the edge of the great Ituri forest, in which elephants, the largest of all animals, and pygmies, the smallest of men, are found. The trail of the elephant is easy to follow, for they trample down everything in their way. Larger in size, but comparable in bulk to the rhino, elephants differ greatly in brain. They are the wisest of all African animals, and rhinos are the most stupid. Their sight is very bad, but their scent and hearing are highly developed, making them most dangerous animals to approach. A family like this are very loyal comrades. They have been known to carry a wounded pal away from danger, supporting his immense body between them at the risk of their own lives. The African elephant, unlike his Indian namesake, has never been successfully trained for the use of man. Until recent years, ivory hunters penetrated the haunts of the elephant for centuries, killing millions of these majestic mammoths and taking away nothing but their tusks. We had been unable to find a route through the dense forest to the Pygmy village, so we seized this opportunity to bribe our way with salt, which necessity of life is very difficult for them to obtain.
Boy! Kuja hapa! Kuja! Kuja hapa!
Here you are.
They love it. Like a child loves candy. It's very scarce in the forest. Chumbi! Chumbi Mingi! Kuja! Chumbi Guinea? Ifa Minyara?
Yo! Dito!
He says he'll take us to the Pygmy clearing if we bring plenty of salt.
We better bring plenty of water.
Something tells me he's going to be plenty thirsty.
Finally, our little guide brought us to a clearing in the center of the deep Ituri forest, and hundreds of pygmies came from all directions to greet us. The average height is a little over 4 feet, and they rarely weigh more than 75 pounds, but they are well proportioned and comparatively strong. This is the smallest tribe of people in the world. They live in clans of 20 or 30, a few miles apart, and a representative of each family receives the salt. The clan leaders are in turn ruled by a great king who occupies his throne through blood succession, just like the crowned heads of Europe. He is honoring us by coming in from the depths of his forest capital. We wanted to pay our respects to His Majesty there, but the darkness in the interior makes photography impossible, and the king graciously offered to come to us in the clearing. He is comparatively young, and both he and his subjects show character and intelligence. In this, they differ from most of the other African tribes. Besides supplying music for the dance, these great tom-toms boom out messages in a code similar to our telegraphy. Everybody dances in Pygmy land, and their chanting, while not particularly harmonious, has a fast rhythm that makes the feet want to do things. These are the original hot dogs. The Pygmies have practiced companionate marriage for centuries, long before Judge Lindsay was ever heard of. If a marriage doesn't take after a year's tryout, they start all over again with a new wife. No one is allowed more than one wife at a time, except the king. He gets 2 for safety's sake, to ensure a son and future king. These are the queens. They are very modest and shy when the king is around. According to scientists who have made a study of the past history of this race, the Pygmy is not really a Negro, and their faces certainly show a great similarity to nearly every other nationality in the world. Less than 2,000 of this particular tribe are known to exist, and until our visit, no one ever knew the proper tribal name, which is Ifi, I-F-I, Ifi. Here is an unusual fact. This peculiar style of wrestling is exactly the same as a very popular sport in Japan called rice wrestling, and here we find it in the center of Africa, 10,000 miles away. The idea of the thing is, the first one who is thrown off his feet is the loser. They make everything that they use, and the jungle furnishes them with food. Here they are constructing arrows. The shafts are made from the hearts of palm trees, which are strong, light, and durable. Look at these beautiful teeth. A dentist in Africa would have a great chance. To starve to death. They mine and smelt their own iron, which they mold into arrowheads. The big savage in the center is the official poison mixer for the whole tribe. He actually stands only 5 feet 10 inches, but the difference in height is so noticeable that he looks like a giant beside them. This man belongs to another tribe and is maintained by the Pygmies for one purpose. He mixes the poison. Then they dip their arrows into it and put the blame on him for whatever they kill. Their own conscience is clear because the force of the arrow will not cause death, but the poison does. That's their way of escaping responsibility. Darn clever, these Pygmies. The large mound with the little house on it in the background is a great anthill. This is where we lived while here. They shoot very accurately, but depend more on the poison than the fort. These tiny people kill a huge elephant with these small arrows, but it takes 3 or 4 days for the poison to take effect. After the elephant is hit, they follow him through the dense jungle until he dies. If a golfer had this perfection of motion, there wouldn't be anything but champions. Notice how he always keeps his eye on the target, and he follows through with almost continuous action. Yes, they have some bananas. You can tell by their fat tummies.
Darn those natives.
Never mind, it makes a great scene.
It is very difficult for one who has never been in Africa to realize the vast amount of wild animals that live in this wonderful country. Many different kinds are always to be seen, but it is very hard to get close enough to photograph them. Any unusual noise on the veldt makes every bird and beast scurry for shelter. Great hornbill storks suddenly lift their 50 pounds into the air like a squadron of aeroplanes taking off. Inquisitive monkeys, comparatively safe in the treetops, chatter incessantly, and the plain becomes alive with sounds of every description. A cheetah slinks off, uttering his odd bird-like call. Unusual and rare baby bat-eared foxes run for their dugouts, where they huddle close together and cry plaintively in fear for their lives. Even a herd of ostriches glide by. The huge pads on their feet muffle the sound, and they make great speed in their springy, strutting manner. It's like Mother Nature holds a grudge against the zebra. Its glaring stripes make it an outstanding target for beasts of prey in search of food. Almost powerless when attacked by a lion, but oh boy, they kick and bite viciously when bothered by other animals. Zebras in zoos over here rarely make any kind of a sound, but this shrill bark is common both day and night in Africa. The stripe patterns are like human fingerprints. No two are found alike. They are often found grazing in company with a herd of topi, which are similar to a large American deer. These two widely separated species often fight together against their common enemy, the lion. The ripples across the picture in the background are heat waves, for it is 130 in the shade, and we never found much of that. Not the least bit camera conscious, just a born actor. His relations are running out on him. I don't know whether he's calling his mother or his father, but I guess he wants his mama. Though lions kill hundreds of thousands for food each year, the zebra still survives and increases in number, and their pounding hoofs in mad stampede can be heard on all the velds of Africa. Oh, the original rubberneck. You can't get close to a giraffe without him seeing you, but their curiosity is stronger than their fear, and often they'll stand 100 yards away and gaze steadily down at you. They are natural-born reachers. They will drink every day if near water, but they can get along without it for weeks at a time, thereby making a monkey out of the camel. A full-grown giraffe is the tallest animal on the face of the earth, often standing nearly 16 feet high. Hunters rarely kill these harmless monsters, but the natives often do, for the hide makes a bullwhip 30 feet long without a break.
Lion!
But these two lions are stuffed with food and lazy. They're just looking for a shady place to snooze. But Mr. Giraffe doesn't trust them. He just remembers a very important business engagement elsewhere. For such awkward bodies, they can make great speed, sometimes traveling as fast as 40 miles an hour. Our microphone registers only the hoofbeats. For giraffes, having no vocal cords, cannot utter a sound. They're just naturally dumb. But not quite as dumb as the yokel who first saw one in a circus and said, "There ain't no such animal." Here is a marvelous chance to study their peculiar rocking horse gallop. All 4 feet are never off the ground at one time. They were once called camel leopards, due to their leopard spots and their unusual ability to go without water. The huge legs, long neck, and sloping back make the giraffe appear clumsy. But notice how the head remains level, while the neck takes up the bumps like a shock absorber. They could run clear across the picture with a glass of water between their horns and not spill a drop. Once underway, these great runners are hard to stop, and they have often hung themselves on the telegraph wires of the new railroad, which has been started from the Indian Ocean coast. The little youngsters keep up with the old folks, even leading at times. Here is a sure enough neck-and-neck race, with the little fellow trying to hitch on behind. If he only had sense, he'd grab that tail. Flamingos by the million. Each bird stands nearly 4 feet high and weighs about 30 pounds, but the flesh is odorous and unfit to eat. It looks like the parade of the wooden soldiers. They appear to be floating, but in reality they are walking in deep mud under a foot or so of shallow water. Mr. and Mrs. Flamingo are inhaling their daily bread. The lake is full of soda and contains some invisible form of life on which they feed by scooping it into their tremendous beaks. They have a soft pink plumage with the wingtips a vivid red, and we are sorry that our equipment does not include a natural color camera. It is an amazing sight to watch a flock numbering hundreds of thousands suddenly lift themselves into the air, so thick that they hide the sun and cast a huge shadow over the lake. But after traveling a short distance in a beautiful cloud of fluttering wings, they settle again on the surface and continue their feeding. never seeming to want to go over the top of the chasm and into the world beyond. At sunset, the lake is the reality of an artist's dream. A golden sun fades to a lovely pink in natural harmony with the color of the flamingo that wing their way in vivid circles, but always within sight of the lake, which is their home in life and their grave in death. Watch the fish trying to gain the upper waters so they can spawn in the place where they were born. Oh, how would you like to have that baby on your hook? 50 miles below the falls, the Nile spreads out into a flat, virgin wooded valley. Unusual trees such as this dot the shores, and in the interior, a short distance, are almost impassable papyrus swamps. It is here that the famous tsetse fly, which causes sleeping sickness, breeds, and the far-famed white rhinoceros makes his home. Here he is, the square-lipped, or so-called white rhino. He is much larger than the common black variety, and less than 200 are known to exist.
Gosh, that's a big one. What do you think he weighs?
Oh, about 3 tons.
Gee, all bulk and no brains.
Charming fellow, he'd like to make friends with you, in his own way. Thick-skinned and bad-tempered, this most weird survivor of prehistoric animals is rapidly becoming extinct. The horns are not bone, but consist of thickly compressed hair, which is valued at 3 times the price of ivory because it is shipped to China, where it is considered the greatest of all medicine cure-alls.
Certainly are interested in our magic wagon. I think it's the first truck I've ever seen.
They're going to put a dance on for us inside the wall.
Let's get the camera down there.
The story of the Ubangis is as strange and tragic as any in the history of races. A few hundred years ago, these women were far famed for their beauty. Now they are the most horrible in all Africa, and so made by their own hands. The duck-billed women, apparently happy, yet they vie with each other for bigger and better lips. What won't a woman anywhere do to be in style? The lip is pierced when the girl is a baby, and it is stretched year after year, wider and wider, around a circle of wood like the hoop around a barrel. This strange practice, unlike any other curiosity in the world, is done only by the women of the tribe, and necessity was the mother of the invention. Years ago, when slaves were bought and sold all over the world, Arab slave traders swooped down on the tribe at every chance and carried away the wives and daughters to the slave markets at Timbuktu and Zanzibar, where they were sold to the highest bidder. The tribe diminished so rapidly that the chief schemed to make them frightful instead of beautiful, to keep the slave traders from taking them away. So they split their lips in childhood and insert wooden discs, first the size of a button, and as the women grow older, the size of the disc is increased until some of them carry circles 10 inches in diameter. This strange disfigurement, frightful to us, is considered great beauty to the Ubangis, and these women are the social leaders of the tribe. The older the women, the larger the disc, and the higher her social standing. Here is the queen of the saucers. The red rouged lips of our women are just as curious to the Ubangis as their beaks are to us. With the passing of slavery, this custom so long established is now being tabooed by the French government. But ugliness is still a virtue, and even now the prettiest daughters slash their cheeks to win the favor of the warriors. These little girls mature very early and are often married before they are 10. They are mothers when some of our youngsters are in the 3rd grade. By the way, the little fellow in the foreground is still single. When he grows up, the last of the duckbills will be gone, and he will find that it was just an old Ubangi custom. Women without scars or big lips haven't much value, and the father sells them for whatever he can get. Here's a young man with a pet hyena who is on his way to make a trade for a wife. But the ladies don't care much for the hyena. So he returns home for his only other possession of value, a trained marabou stork. Now the stork is playing hard to get. A plug of tobacco or a package of cigarettes will buy the best-looking girl in the village, and the boy wants his choice, but the father gets rid of the biggest eater first. Anyway, the boy isn't particular. He's saving up to buy one with a nice big saucer lip, so this girl will do in the meantime. Without much ceremony, he sends her out to rustle up something to eat, and settles down for a little rest. This is also an old Ubangi custom. I am P-A-L-L-A, Impala, the most graceful of all the antelope family. They always travel in herds of 100 or more through a park-like country.
I'll make him show some action.
Be careful. Don't hit him.
I won't.
When frightened, they jump, much like a kangaroo, but infinitely more graceful. The natives call this the dance of the impala, but we call it the dance of the leaping linas. Look at that baby jump. If you notice, folks, the one without a hat is a distant relative to the Mexican jumping bean. No authority seems to know why the impalas jump. It's just another of those unexplainable mysteries of African animal life. When they stop, no amount of outside interference can stop them again. Sometimes they jump backwards to keep the dust out of their eyes. They almost seem to have wings as they literally glide through space. Their lithe bodies sail through the air for as much as 40 feet in a single jump, and 12 to 15 feet high, but sometimes higher in the spring. They jump higher on their mother's side than they do on their father's side. Here's a great job for a cowboy, breaking in one of these things. It's probably something they ate last night. There goes 3 of them up together. Lions eat very few impalas because the impalas keep him on the jump, and the lion goes crazy trying to catch up. Of all the strange animals to be found in Africa, none is funnier than the wildebeest, or gnu, G-N-U, that famous African antelope. From the rear, they look like a horse. From the front, like a buffalo. They act like a cow and make a noise like a lion, all of which means that something went wrong somewhere. With their shaggy manes and heavy forequarters, they remind one of the American buffalo, but only at a distance, for they are much smaller. They always roam through fairly open country in great herds, and when the sun is in back of them, their white beards make them visible for miles.